Let's cut to the chase. There are things you should always do at Disney World restaurants to make your experience better and more convenient, possibly even cheaper than expected. And we're going to cover the top dining must-dos that you need to do today here on DFB Guide. Hey everybody, it's AJ for Disney Food Blog. Dining at Disney World isn't quite like pulling up to your local hometown restaurant and grabbing a table and an entree whenever you feel like it. Instead, there's a lot that goes into both the decision making and the actual dining process that could ultimately determine whether your meal here is awesome or falls flat and feels like a waste of money. So today, we're going to talk about what things need to be priorities before and during each of your Disney meals, whether you're dining at a quick service, a table service, a signature restaurant, or all the above. First up, ask questions. When it comes to Disney dining, there are no stupid questions. Well, I'm sure there are, but we haven't come across any yet. So if you're confused about something, then ask. You're spending a lot of money out there, y'all, so make sure you know what's going on. So what kind of questions? Well, ask if the restaurant has any secret menu or offerings available, or ask what the most underrated item on the menu is. That's how we found that dessert at La Hacienda de San Angel in the Mexico Pavilion in Epcot, which is sweet corn ice cream with popcorn and chili powder. Or just straight up ask your server what their favorite choice is on the menu. That's especially fun to do at places like Wine Bar George in Disney Springs, where every server has an extensive knowledge of wines and can definitely point you in the right direction. In general, don't be shy. Disney's cast member servers are super knowledgeable and super nice, so feel free to pick their brains and get the answers you're searching for. Disney dining can be confusing, especially if you're planning on using the Disney Dining Plan, which is Disney's add-on option that lets you pay for the majority, if not all, of your meals in advance. And that's because DDP rules can vary slightly depending on where you go. So if you're confused about something, ask, and don't be nervous to ask a similar question at the next restaurant you go to because you might just wind up with a different answer. For example, as part of either Disney Dining Plan, each of your meals comes with a free alcoholic beverage if you want one, but not every boozy drink is going to be Disney Dining Plan eligible. So you'll want to ask to see which cocktails at each restaurant are Disney Dining Plan credit approved, and which ones you'll have to pay extra for if you really want to try them. But don't just ask your server about DDP stuff. Ask them about the juicy stuff too. Okay, have you seen all the changes that have been happening on the Disney scene lately? In just the past few weeks, we've seen long-lost Disney snacks return to us, like the glorious waffle sandwiches at Sleepy Hollow Refreshments in Magic Kingdom, and the key lime pie on a stick, which is now a key lime pop available at Flame Tree Barbecue in Animal Kingdom. We've seen well-loved snacks disappear without so much as a goodbye, like the toffee and coconut blondie from Hollywood Studios, and the pepperoni pretzel from El Mercado de Coronado at Coronado Springs, as well as the, gonna cry about this one, the pizza roll over at Sunshine Seasons. I can't possibly believe that that's actually gone forever, but we'll see. Anyway, we've also seen snacks move from one location to another whole other location, like Animal Kingdom's baked mac and cheese that jumped from 8 Spoon Cafe over to Smiling Crocodile, and new snacks pop up altogether, like the cold brew flight currently available at Satuli Canteen in Animal Kingdom, and the coconut pineapple shoe at Kona Island in Polynesian Village Resort. And that's only scratching the surface. Our DFB reporters have been keeping busy trying to track down all the most recent snack and meal changes that have been happening around the parks. But this is, once again, an important reminder that Disney menus can and will change all the time. So you need to study up on those menus, not just a few months before your trip, but even a few days leading up to your visit too, because no food and drink items are ever 100% guaranteed at Disney. We do this all day, every day, and we are still shocked and surprised on a regular basis by the changes that they're making. Now, you might also need to download our most recent iteration of our free DFB snack guide if you're still holding on to the old one, because we've recently updated the snacks and the locations on our exclusive DFB snack maps to make sure we're still getting the most up-to-date info to you. Just pick up that new copy by scanning the QR code you see on the screen now, or by heading to disneyfoodblog.com/bestsnacks after this. So here's something that all you parents and guardians out there might not have thought about before. Most of Disney's table service restaurants do not allow strollers inside their dining rooms, since they take up a whole lot of space and make it hard for cast members to safely get around tables. I know, this was a shock for me as well when I had a little kid. Now, the good news is that stroller parking for these restaurants is never too terribly far away, and a cast member up front can point you in the right direction for where your stroller needs to be parked. Now, I should clarify, if you are trying to park park your stroller to go to Sunshine Seasons in the Land Pavilion or to Garden Grill in the Land Pavilion, that stroller parking is far away, very far away. It's over by the seas with Nemo and friends, and oh my goodness, what a nightmare. But anyway, other stroller parking isn't that far away. Now, in the case of quick service restaurants, you might have a better chance of being able to bring your stroller inside the dining room depending on the quick service. But if you don't have an extra set of hands to help you push a stroller and carry a whole tray of food, again, please don't hesitate to ask a nearby cast member for help. They'll either be able to help you carry your food to a nearby table, or they'll be able to call someone over who has a free hand to spare to help you out instead. Booking a table service restaurant in Disney World has its fair share of advantages and disadvantages. Advantages being you get to sit down in the AC to eat a nice meal in what's probably a highly themed dining room setting. Disadvantages? These restaurants can be expensive, eat up time out of your park day, and depending on the restaurant, they might be extremely difficult to book, especially the newer Disney restaurants or the ones like Cinderella's Royal Table and Magic Kingdom that never lose their novelty factor. If you've got a certain sit-down Disney restaurant in your sights and you know for a fact it's one of those restaurants that's on the very tippy top of your must-do experience list, then make sure you're securing those reservations ASAP when they go live on the website or the My Disney Experience app, which will be 60 days before your visit. You'll also get an extra 10 days booking window if you're staying at one of the Disney-owned hotels, meaning you could technically book reservations for your entire trip in just one morning instead of having to book them one morning at a time. Didn't get the reservation you wanted? That's okay. Keep checking to see if more availability pops up as you get closer to your trip. It usually does. Since cancellations for most of Disney's sit-down restaurants can be made up to 2 hours before your actual reservation time with no cancellation penalty, then cancellations do tend to happen frequently across the restaurants, meaning there's always a chance you can swing in and swipe them up, even if you weren't seeing any availability earlier on. Now, please double-check cancellation policies for each of the restaurants that you book, especially if you're booking one where you have to prepay for your meal online. While most no-show fees will put you out $10 per person who's listed on the reservation, some of those bigger restaurants might have you forfeiting either half or all of the meal price if you fail to show up, and you certainly don't want to mess with that. If you're running late for a reservation, don't panic just yet. You have about a 10 to 15 minute grace period before cast members will need to give up your table for the next available group. But regardless, still a good idea to plan your day and travel time around your next Disney meals, because it's always better to show up a little earlier instead of running behind and getting all worked up about missing your reservation altogether. One big issue with that is not necessarily knowing how long rides are. Even if the wait time for a ride says maybe 30 minutes, there may be pre-shows that you have to wait through, and then you have to go through the actual ride, and then you have to walk through all of the exit queues, and etc., etc., etc. So even if a ride says that it's a 30-minute wait, you still have to build in the time of the ride and all that other stuff. So give yourself an extra 30 minutes to an hour to get over to your dining reservation. Don't do what I do and hop in line for a ride thinking you have time to do the ride and get to your dining reservation and then miss it every time. Now, some Disney restaurants do tend to have walk-up availability due to more last-minute cancellations and or no-shows. So if all else fails, check your My Disney Experience app for a walk-up waitlist or same-day reservation, or make your way up to the restaurant's host stand to ask about last-minute availability. We've had the most success with grabbing last-minute reservations for even the most popular table service locations by heading over to the restaurant right when they open up for the day. I wouldn't necessarily gamble with same-day availability if you know you can book a reservation and guarantee a seat at a certain must-do restaurant, but it's nice to know that day of availability can be gettable if the stars align. So, breakfast can be one of the best meals of your trip or one of the most inconvenient. In some cases, a little bit of both. For several sit-down restaurants, especially the character dining experiences and or buffets, booking reservations for breakfast can often be a cheaper option for your group versus getting reservations for lunch and dinner. And that's fantastic if the main reason you wanted to go to one of these restaurants was for the theming and experience more than the food itself. Breakfast is also a great way to fuel you up right at the start of your day, so you don't have to slam on the brakes by the afternoon. You just need to grab something munchy, but nothing super substantial for a quick lunch or pick-me-up. That being said, several breakfasts tend to cost less just because they offer the same variation of foods across the board with a few differences here and there. Mostly you're going to find things that you would try on any other continental breakfast line at these restaurants, like eggs or pancakes, bacon, sausage, Mickey waffles, stuff like that. So if you really are more about the adventurous food options rather than the experience itself, you might be better off still booking lunch or dinner for a little more variety in your meal. And then there's the glaring fact that a sit-down breakfast, or even a quick service breakfast really, can take a good chunk of time out of your theme park morning, which is really the prime time to get in line for those more popular rides. So some Disney restaurants have breakfasts I tend to like even more than their main meals, which we have a video all about if you want to watch that when you get the chance. But I'd say plan to maybe book 1 or 2 breakfasts for the mornings that you're not going to be rushing to get things done around one of the Disney parks, and then plan for some speedier morning options for when you're getting up and around to get in line for those rides ASAP. For speedy morning options, I like to bring some of my own assortment of snacky breakfast foods from home if I'm able to, like granola bars or dry cereals or frosted Pop-Tarts. Now I know my scriptwriter Bria won't let me get away with that, but it needed to be said regardless. Or if I'm not able to bring my own food from home, I'll just use the Kroger delivery app to get some of those breakfast items, as well as other groceries I'll need for the week, like all of those bottles of water, delivered to my hotel's Bell Services desk at the start of my vacation for an easy pickup process that'll end up saving me a ton of money versus eating breakfast on Disney property for meal after meal. Disney's pretty notorious for having the same food type dressed up in a lot of different ways. Take fries, for instance. You can get a basket or plate full of fries loaded with tandoori chicken at Eat in Disney Springs, buffalo ranch sauce and blue cheese dressing at several locations in Hollywood Studios, pulled pork with lots of wonderful plastic cheese over at Flame Tree Barbecue in Animal Kingdom, and I've deemed these as my beloved birthday fries that I pick up every time I'm in Animal Kingdom around my birthday, but that's just a few of the many loaded fry dishes out there. Same thing goes with Dole Whips. Sure, you can get the classic pineapple at several locations, but you also have other options out there that might fit your palate even better. Popcorn flavors? Disney's got several just beyond the salted butter stuff. Bread puddings? So many. Mac and cheese? Don't even get me started. What I'm trying to get at here is that even though Disney has, say, a hamburger at one location that's pretty blah, that doesn't mean it's going to be the same burger experience across the other restaurants too. But AJ, you say, how will I know which Disney restaurants have better versions of certain food types than others? Glad you asked, because that's exactly why I started DFB, and that's why I wrote the DFB Guide to Walt Disney World Dining. After years and years of Disney trips and getting shocked by meals in the best and worst ways possible, I knew it was time to share experiences with everybody. And now that DFB has grown so much behind the scenes, we got a whole cast of writers and reviewers and editors that can help add to that narrative with their own pro experiences too. If you want to pick up your own DFB guide today, head over to dfbstore.com and purchase one of our digital companions. But be sure to type in the code YouTube before you check out, because I don't ever want y'all missing out on any savings opportunities. Ever. And now it's time to open the DFB vault once again to talk about a classic Disney dining tip that's still relevant after all this time. If you're hoping to mobile order from the My Disney Experience app right at noon and grab some lunch in the midst of your busy park day, you might end up seriously disappointed. Nowadays, lunchtime is one of the most bogged down periods for mobile order, and if you wait until the last second to place an order on the app, you might find that the soonest return window that's available for you won't be for another hour or two, which is horrible if you're hungry right now. This is especially true if you're visiting around a peak holiday season for the park, because the quick services can get swamped. Like, I don't ever want to try to eat at Backlot Express at noon ever again. So my advice, schedule out your mobile order a couple of hours before you actually want to eat. If you plan ahead and schedule a spot before everyone else does, you won't have to battle against all the other folks who are trying to mobile order right when the clock strikes lunchtime and they're getting hangry. The restaurant won't start preparing your food until you tell them you've arrived, so if you place a mobile order at 9 a.m. but schedule a pickup time for noon, you won't need to worry that your food's going to get all soggy and gross and cold before you get there. That being said, the Prepare My Order button could still backfire on you even if you schedule out your mobile order in advance. Regardless of scheduling a pickup time hours before you plan on eating, the quick service will still have to prepare your order during a peak dining time if you choose to eat around noonish, which could mean a whole lot of backup in the kitchen. So even if you can get a time slot for lunch and show up on time just like you're supposed to, you might still wind up waiting past your meal arrival window to actually get your food. So plan ahead. We like to hit Prepare My Order when we first start walking over to the restaurant to give the kitchen time to get a head start on our food, meaning there's a better chance it'll actually be ready when we arrive. Or, better yet, and this is what I always do, make a mobile order during non-peak dining times, like a late lunch or early dinner, or even a very early lunch, and avoid any kitchen chaos. It also gives you a better chance at finding an open seat in the main dining areas, which is like my biggest pet peeve. I hate ordering food at Disney quick services and then wandering aimlessly aimlessly with a tray, not having a place to sit. It triggers high school lunchroom flashbacks, which are not welcome here. And to be extra prepared for any quick service that becomes a slow service when it gets too packed out, just have a few snacks tucked away in your park bag to tide you over in the meantime. You can just add those to your Kroger delivery purchase whenever you go to get frosted Pop-Tarts for breakfast, right, Bria? So whether you're looking for gluten-free, allergy-friendly, sugar-free, or other dining accommodations leading up to your next Disney trip, you are never, ever, ever going to have to worry about going hungry in Disney World. In the comments section of our recent dining videos, I've seen lots of you ask about navigating Disney with certain dining restrictions, and I know that can be intimidating at first, but when I tell you that Disney has made leaps and bounds with their dining accommodations over the years, they're literally award-winning for it, I'm not kidding you. Yep, they've won awards for dedication to providing a safe and enjoyable dining experience for vacationing families. Literally, quote unquote. We've recently created a full and free guide that'll help walk you through the basics of dining with certain food restrictions around Disney, whether it be at a quick service, a table service, or even a festival kiosk. And we even list out some of the restaurants that we think really go above and beyond with the entree and snack offerings. You can pick up that free guide today by scanning the QR code you see on the screen now, or by heading to disneyfoodblog.com/special diet after this. And while that free guide has over 20 pages of content for you to read up on, here are 3 important tips straight from that PDF that I want to take a moment to shout out right now because they're that important. First, before you order from any location, you can and should request to speak with a cast member, ideally a trained Special Diets cast member or chef who can guide you through the menu accordingly. 2, while many Disney kitchens have allergy-friendly fryers to help prevent cross-contamination, a 100% allergy-free dining experience isn't guaranteed since most Disney restaurants don't have a completely separate kitchen to prep their allergy-friendly meals. So, if you have, say, a major shellfish allergy, for instance, it might be best to avoid seafood-heavy restaurants like Columbia Harbor House in Magic Kingdom or Coral Reef in Epcot, just to be on the safe side. And 3, always tell your server about your specific dietary request, even if you're ordering an allergy-friendly item from the standard menu. It's also important to let Disney know about your dining needs before your visit by contacting the Special Diets department at special.diets@disneyworld.com. For most Disney lounges, especially the ones attached to certain restaurants, you're not going to need to worry about making advanced dining reservations ahead of your trip, since they'll more than likely have first come, first serve availability. But this is not 100% the case for all Disney lounges. The more popular and or newer Disney lounges are going to require a bit of ADR action and actually have the tendency to book up even quicker than regular Disney restaurants do. For example, the brand new Geo 82 Adults Only Lounge in Epcot, the Space 220 Lounge inside the Centauri Space Station, also in Epcot, and August Cantina in Hollywood Studios all take advanced dining reservations, just like a normal restaurant, meaning you can start booking them 60 days before you visit. And we're assuming the same case is going to be true for the Pirates of the Caribbean themed Beak and Barrel Lounge when it opens up for families in Magic Kingdom later on in 2025. In the case of lounges like Nomad Lounge in Animal Kingdom and Trader Sam's Grog Grotto in Polynesian Village Resort, you don't have to worry about reservations per se, but you do need to get on those walk-up wait lists pronto before they completely book up. Nomad Lounge's walk-up waitlist tends to open around 10:30 a.m. and can be accessed either through the My Disney Experience app or walking up to the host stand and adding your group to the list in person. But note, you have to be close to the restaurant in order for this walk-up waitlist to work. Trader Sam's is a little more complicated than that. This lounge doesn't open until 3 p.m. daily, but there's no walk-up waitlist posted on the app for it. You're going to have to be in a physical line to add yourself to this list, meaning you'll probably want to get here early, as in 30 minutes prior to the lounge opening, if you really want to get there first. This place is very popular, but it's tiny on the inside. The waitlist typically opens around 1 p.m. each day, and you'll need to get your name on the list if you want to grab a drink close to 3 p.m. So it might come as a shock to you, but not every restaurant in Disney World is owned by Disney. Many of them are, but select restaurants inside Animal Kingdom, like Yak and Yeti and Rainforest Cafe, various restaurants around Epcot, like Via Napoli and Space 220, some restaurants around the resorts, like the New Cake Bake Shop at Boardwalk Inn, as well as several of the restaurants around Disney Springs, like the majority of them, are operated by a third-party company. And that's actually good news, because that means you might actually have access to extra perks at some of these locations. options, depending on the restaurant and company that owns them. For example, many third-party locations, specifically inside the Disney Springs bubble, have great happy hour deals where select apps and drinks will go on sale at a certain time of the day, more reservation opportunities. If you're not finding resis on the My Disney Experience app, you can go to opentable.com and potentially find more reservation options there, and loyalty programs and memberships that could offer up discounts on your next purchase or free items around your birthday. We talk more about the specifics of those savings opportunities throughout our DFB Guide to Walt Disney World Dining, specifically in the 101 section and Disney Springs section too, since Springs is swarming with good dining deals constantly. So if you have that guide handy, be sure to check out those sections when you get the chance. Now, one more thing I always want to mention about those third-party restaurants is that they're not always going to jive with your Disney dining itinerary. And that's because not every third-party restaurant is Disney Dining Plan eligible. So if there's a restaurant you really want to eat at, especially over in Disney Springs, and you're going to be using the Disney Dining Plan, check ahead of time and make sure the restaurant that you've got your eye on is actually going to take those dining credits. I probably don't need to remind you of these restaurant rules because you probably know about them already. You're pretty awesome like that. But just because these rules are definitely still things you should always do while you're dining in Disney, I feel like it's my duty to talk about them and refresh your memory, because sometimes these change. You always need to stick with the Disney restaurant dress codes. For the most part, that's going to be super easy. It's more of the no shirt, no shoes, no service mentality, and as long as you're wearing appropriate attire, you're golden, even if you're just sporting a pair of Crocs and Sophie shorts and a sweat-stained tank top. Everybody tell Bria in the comments if you know what Sophie shorts are, because I don't think I do. Anyway, if you're dining at one of Disney's nicer restaurants like Takumi Tay in Epcot or California Grill in the Contemporary, these restaurants aren't going to have a super strict dress code or anything. No diamond-studded cocktail dresses or whatever, but you might be required to change out of whatever you wore around the parks that day to get into something that fits the restaurant's upscale aesthetic better. A fancy meal after a big park day doesn't have to be a whole lot of effort to pull off, though. In fact, if you wear the right outfit at the start of the day, you may not have to do any bathroom quick changes whatsoever. What I like to do if I know I'm going to be spending a day in the parks, followed by eating somewhere fancy for dinner, is wear one of those breathable t-shirt dresses with a pair of slip shorts underneath to avoid chafing. Bam, done, easy. Khaki shorts and a thin polo shirt also make for good and comfy park wear, but can still double as a more dressed up option for a nicer nighttime meal. So there are a few Disney restaurant rules you should always follow. And you know what else you should always do before hitting up a Disney World restaurant? Watch more DFV videos so you know which restaurants you actually want to go to. We've got lots and lots of Disney restaurant videos out now, like new rules for Disney World restaurants and the best things I've eaten so far in 2025. You can check them out next, and don't forget to pick up our free Disney World snack guide over at disneyfoodblog.com/bestsnacks so we can send that to you ASAP. Thanks for listening, everyone, and thanks for watching. As always, this is AJ for Disney Food Blog, and we'll see you real soon.